Here we go. So 2K22 is out, guys, and the reception has been really positive. So I'm going to do a video where I'm going to try and create a bit of balance to this conversation. I know everyone's really hyped about the game, and I want to answer the question, is 2K22 overhyped? And is it overhyped because 2K21 was so bad? Because it was. It was a horrendous game. 2K22 has come out, and I think it couldn't be any worse. So is it overhyped because 2K21 was so bad and we're just relieved that we have a better game? Or is it an amazing game as a standalone game without comparing it to anything that came before? That's the question we're going to answer. Before we get into that, guys, please like and subscribe. We don't really have any goals for this year, to be honest. I'm not going to be uploading a huge amount of 2K22 content, which I'll explain why. I will be doing a lot of GTA roleplay content and catch the videos this week. If you're into roleplay at all, we've got an amazing story arc coming up that's based around Sons of Anarchy. It's going to be incredible. But this is a video I have to do. I've waited a few days to kind of comment on the game because I really wanted to play with every game mode, see what it's about, figure it out for myself, so I'm not kind of making my decisions based on content creators. And if you disagree with anything I'm going to say, leave a comment below. Let me know what your thoughts are. So let's get into it. Let's break it down. Let's start with the draft, which was the most hyped thing about this year. Is it amazing? Yes. Yes, it is. It's fantastic, guys. Like, I've done it twice. The first time, I think I won 8 games. I got to the top Essential board, had a few picks, but, didn't get Glenn Robinson. But the concept is fantastic. I started another draft yesterday, and I literally picked the worst possible team. My only scoring option is Elton Brand. So I'm literally in two minds now about whether I just reset and try and get a better team and go again. But it's really interesting, guys. The dynamic is really interesting. There's a lot of RNG built into it. That's literally the point of this game mode, so it's not a problem. I really like it. Obviously, the one limitation with the draft is the whole idea of VC for, kind of tokens to play the game. I actually think tokens to play the game makes more sense. In fact, it might make more sense than anything we've ever done with tokens. The idea of using tokens to enter a draft just makes sense, on every level. I think that's the move. One slight change I'd make, but in terms of the mode itself, I absolutely love it. It's fantastic. Let's talk about TTO the 100, the most controversial game mode that we've had, certainly this year. Certainly has been met with the most sort of negative feedback of any mode, that it's kind of impossible, that doesn't really make sense. All of that is true except one thing, which is I've actually done it, and I got Gus Gerrard. I completed on my first attempt, actually. We managed to unlock him, and I lost games along the way. So it's not impossible. It doesn't make a huge amount of sense on paper, but there's two ways of looking at it. I think you can have a really good run and not make the top board and not get the reward. But you can also have quite an average run and get the reward, which is what happened to me. So I'm going to give it a little bit more time before panning it completely, but I think a little bit more thought needs to go into it. One thing I will say is people are saying that you need to get 10, you can't concede more than 10 points each time to get to the top board. That's actually not true. It's 11 or 12, right? Because you're not going to need that last board. You need to do it within 9 to get to that last board, if that makes sense. So you've basically got 9 games where you can't concede more than 100 points, and then you get to the top level. So it's not as bad, I think, as people are making it out, but it's still not the most thoughtful thing. I'll be interested to see, because there is pressure there for them to change it, if it changes or not. Unlimited, guys, it's an L. I'm not going to play it this year. The reason it's almost like a W is I think it now is fit for purpose. It's now just a sweaty game mode for, comp players, elite players, super sweats. That's exactly what it is now. We've been saying for a long time that we need a mode that's just for sweats. And Unlimited has been that mode, but because it's been so heavily geared towards casuals with skill-based matchmaking, algo, and all these different things, it hasn't really been the comp mode that you need it to be. But because casuals can now stay off it and still have fun doing things like the draft and playing limited, which we're going to touch on in a second, it's basically removed them from the idea of, having to play unlimited, which really does make unlimited an exclusive mode now for, high-level players, which I like. I think that's great. I think that's the move, but I won't be playing it. I will not be playing that game mode this year. I mean, maybe here and there, but it's definitely not going to be a focus of mine. Last year, I was, went after the 12 and 0 rewards. It's not going to be the case this year. It just isn't. Let's talk about limited. So limited is the same. Hasn't really changed. I don't really have much to say about it. I think the first week of requirements just wasn't good. the one Ruby and everything under, like, this is what we criticized last year, and they brought it back first week. And it's more disappointing because of actually a huge positive in the game, which is these base sets, including, like, countless different players. It's not just based on the NBA. So we have this vast selection of players already in the game, which is fantastic. And they still chose to go one Ruby and everything less. That is an L, guys. It's not creative. They literally set themselves up to be creative from the word go, and then chose not to do it. It was a little bit weird. But Limited will be a fun game mode throughout the year. It's my favourite game mode to play. I will be playing it all year, so yeah, it has to be a win. The token rewards I'm going to touch on quickly. I really like the fact that they've kind of reduced the requirements to get to the next tier. I think, you know, you need 5 emeralds and 5 sapphires, and then you get to the point where it's 1 of each. So you can actually get to the higher tiers quite quickly. I wouldn't be surprised to see people running quite a few pink diamonds from the token reward pretty soon. Token's still quite hard to get hold of, which is a slight issue, but I think they've offset that by allowing us to get up the boards quicker, which is good. There's spotlights and domination. I'm going to group them together because it's really just, you know, the ability to offline grinds for people who enjoy that and for decent rewards. I think the rewards are fine. I think people are sleeping on that Luca a little bit. I think he is actually going to be really good. But again, straight out the gate, they've given offline players 3 weeks, you know, 4 weeks of stuff to do, which is fantastic. That's really, really good. Like, that's really thoughtful. They've come out the gate. They haven't just dropped like 1 domination or, you know, 3 dominations and it looks like we're not going to get another one for 3 months. I'm confident in the way that they've approached it, so that we're going to see regular offline content for people to grind and have fun on if they don't want to go online, which is great. That's fantastic. They've added a few other things like pickup challenges and stuff like that, which is great as well. I think they did like 1 day. They were supposed to be daily, and I think they did 1 day and then haven't done it since. So if they do keep that daily, you know, someone needs to remind 2K to add a new one. But if they do keep that daily, that's good. That's a win as well. The XP agenda, you know, it's comparable to the kind of D-Rob grind, I think. I think that's when it got slightly easier last year, right? Because just before that, we had Kawhi and D-Wade, and they still felt like all-consuming, like, over-the-top, quite toxic grinds. And then D-Rob just felt a little bit easier, and I think that's where we started this year, which is great. I'm not going to go for Mellow, because I'm not doing that this year. I'm not grinding the game like that this year. I will not get Mellow. I'm sure he's going to be a great card. I'm sure there'll be a bit of FOMO, and I'll probably regret it. If you've got the time, go get Mellow. Just go get him. He's going to be a worthwhile card. I'm not doing it this year. We are not playing the game like that this year. We're going to have fun with it. But if you are, it's very achievable. If you've got time, if you've got a few hours a day, you'll get that card very, very easily by the looks of things, which again is great. You know, comparing it to Steph at the start of last year, it's not even close. And then the final thing, which is the real thing that everyone is talking about, is gameplay. Gameplay, guys, is an absolute game changer. Now, I will prefix this by saying I am terrible at this game. I'm absolutely terrible at this game, but that's a good thing because I'm not someone who plays the game enough to be good and to have the kind of win records I had last year. I shouldn't be allowed to be that good. The reason I was is I knew a couple of exploits that I could abuse over and over again online and have success. I can't do that this year. Those exploits don't exist. Guys, they've absolutely smashed it with the gameplay. And what I really like is I saw comments, you know, on Twitter about people saying, don't change it, leave it as it is. They've actually gone day one and released gameplay that people aren't complaining about. Now, there are some issues with it. I'll be completely honest with you. There are some issues with it. I think the offensive rebounding is out of control on the game. Like, I've literally had situations where I've had 8 or 9 offensive rebounds given up in one possession. That needs to be nerfed a little bit. I think the blocks are a little bit OP. Guys, that's it. That's it. And there's like no urgency to change those things. The gameplay is fine. I think it's a little bit overhyped, but this is where we kind of compare to 2K21 and how bad the gameplay was there, because it literally was just a tower of exploits. That's what the game mode was. This year, it's just not that. We can't say it's that. It's different. It feels good. It feels balanced. It feels like there's a skill level involved. It's not going to be perfect, and it never will be perfect. And I think there's a couple of little things they could do to kind of ramp that up a little bit more. But as it stands right now, the gameplay is fantastic. So is 2K22 overhyped? The answer, guys, is no. It's not overhyped. As a standalone basketball game, it's a really, really good game. It's so balanced for everyone involved. There's a thought process that's gone into this game that just wasn't there in the last 2 games. There's consideration. And I think the community has been providing feedback non-stop for last year. Like, they knew what the problems were. You know, I released a video of 100 things just before the end of the cycle that were wrong with 2K21. DBG reacted to it. It looks like 2K have been watching these videos. It looks like they've been taking notes. And they have put in measures to keep offline players happy, online players happy, casuals happy, comp players should be happy. There's just so many layers to the thought process. Just little things like, you know, play with friends on TTO and things like that. They've just made it so expansive and so interesting that everyone has something to do. For me, who's like literally part-timing the game this year, I've had nothing but fun. I've done the draft, wasn't successful with it, but I had fun doing it and it felt different and it felt balanced. I've done the 100, we've clocked that, that's great. I played a bit limited, I got my ring after 3 games. It actually came up on all 3 games. I missed it twice in a row. The third one it came up, so it looks like, you know, the ring's more available than it was last year. I remember at the beginning of last year it just was unavailable and you'd have to play for 2 days. There is an understanding that, you know, there is a quality of life issue with 2K. And those 2 quality of life issues are just putting so much time into the game that you can't do anything else and not enjoying the time that you put on the game. I think both of those things have been resolved. There is going to be a handful of people that go out and do absolutely everything, and they are fundamentally content creators and people that have unlimited time. But for someone like me, and I like to think of myself, not in that, like I say I'm an average player, not in the sense of like my skill set. I think I'm actually below average right now. I need to learn the game. But I'm an average player this year compared to last year in the sense that I've got some time I'm going to put into the game. I'm only going to play for fun. I'm not going to be grinding the game. I stopped doing that in May. But even for me, someone who's just, like I said, part-timing the game, this is a fun game. It's a game where I can jump on and do something interesting. If it's a weekend, I can play limited. It's during the week, I can do the draft. TTO is fun. Like, there's just so many things. Domination I can play the spotlights. You know, if I wanted to grind for Luca, if I wanted to do XP even to get to like level 30, I could do all of that. And all these mechanisms they've got built in, it's just fantastic, guys. Full credit to 2K. Well done. As your biggest critic for the last 2 years, you stepped up for the community this time and you've done a fantastic job. Guys, that's the video. GTA roleplay coming in the next week. Like I said, I've got a 5-part series coming up, which is a story arc of my character, and it's Sons of Anarchy. That's all you need to know. Till next time, thanks for watching, guys.